What is normalization in bank exams? Well, a lot of people have a lot of different notions about it, which are not entirely correct. So I want to clarify these things and I want to explain the exact process. So I hope that this video is educational for you. Hi, this is Shupriyo. So the normalization process in our bank exams, almost each and every prelims examination and sometimes even in the mains, we can see some normalization that actually takes place. So what is it all about and how does it affect you? So it's very important to understand these things because it plays a very vital role in each and every bank exam that you're going to be involved with. So the first thing that we have to ask ourselves is that why is normalization basically done? Now you have to understand what is normalization. It is nothing but you are taking the original data into a different scale. So what you are doing is that you have some kind of a data set that has been given to you. You take that data set and then you are mapping it into a different scale, a different data set. Always think in terms of distances. So all these numbers, if for example you have let's say a ruler, so you have a ruler that actually is from 10 to 1. So you have this kind of a ruler here, right? So if you have a ruler like this, then you can normalize the data to actually fit into this ruler. So for example, say you have a big number like 5557 for example, and you have a smaller number like 23. Now all these numbers you can actually reduce it into this scale so that the differences between these numbers will be the same over here, but they will be mapped into a different scale. So that is essentially all that normalization is doing. It is just taking one data set and mapping it into another data set, and we have to maintain all the distances intact so that we can compare these numbers. So it's very important to do these things whenever you are dealing with data sets that have a lot of deviation, standard deviation we call it. So whenever the standard deviation is very high, it makes sense to actually normalize all that data. But those are all scientific stuff, we don't need to go into that. We just have to understand what it actually does. Now coming over to the methods that are used in normalization, there are tons of different methods of normalization and they are mostly applied to databases. So you have the log scaling, we have the min max method, we have the z scores method, and all these types of methods. For our comparison, what's very important to understand is the equi-percentile method of normalization. Now why is that most important? Because specifically IBPS has actually told us that this is what they are using. So this is something that I took from one of the notifications, and every notification has this: corrected scores obtained by each of the candidates in different sessions or different shifts or slots, whatever it is called, if held, will be normalized using the equi-percentile method. So this is the method that IBPS actually follows, and they are taking it up to 2 decimal points. That also they have actually mentioned. And if you ask me about the formula, okay, I can tell you that as well. So the formula that IBPS uses, this is the exact formula. Now I won't be boring you by actually explaining all these things. It's not necessary for understanding normalization, thankfully. And so this actually gives you the value of the normalized value of the jth candidate in the ith shift. So that's how it actually happens, and you can easily get this online and you can read up on it if you are very interested in learning all these things. But this is actually quite irrelevant, so we don't need to understand the formula. What we do need to understand is how is the normalization actually done. So how is it actually done? Let's take some data sets and we can understand better how it is done. So the first data set, let's take it. So we have here 3 shifts. So shift 1, shift 2 and shift 3, 3 shifts of any kind of an examination that has already happened. And what we have taken the scores of some of the candidates, and it's not all the scores, only a sample of the scores have been taken, and we have represented it in a table. And we just have to remember that these are the absolute scores that they have scored in the test. So this is before the equi-percentile normalization was done. So So the normalization, it has not been done as of now, and before the normalization, this is the scores that we have. Now what we are going to do with these scores is we are going to first arrange each of the shifts in ascending order, and then we are going to take the percentile of each and every shift. So like this we are going to arrange it. So this is how we are arranging it. So we had the original data over here and the arranged data we have put over here. What we have done, we have calculated the percentiles. Now I hope that you know what percentile actually means. If you don't know it, so 75 percentile means that the score that this person has actually scored, this is more than 75% of students. So if somebody scores in the 99th percentile, this means that this person has had a score which is greater than 99% of people who have attempted that shift. So that is how the percentile actually works. So it goes to show you how the person has actually performed compared to the other data that is available to you. So your relative position you can understand. From a percentage you cannot understand the relative position, right? So if you have, for example, a 90%, then how many people have got 90%? It can be anybody, any number of people who have got 90%, right? But if you get 90 percentile, then you know that you have scored better than 90% of people in that test. So this is why we go for percentiles. And what this method does, we have to do the equi-percentile, right? The equi-percentile. So what does this tell you? Equi-percentile. This means equal percentile, right? So we have to make the percentiles equal. Understand what is actually being told over here. So what we are going to do, we are going to take any of the shifts and we are going to consider that as a benchmark. We are going to consider that as a standard, and we are going to adjust the scores of the other shifts to actually match that shift. Say we take shift number 1. So shift number 1, the maximum score is 72 over here, and here the minimum score is 55. Now understand that all the data is not here with you, because if it was all the data, then 55 would have been what? Would have been 0 percentile, because there is nobody lesser than 55, right? So it has to be 55 at 0 percentile, but because we are just taking a sample of scores, we have got it in this kind of a percentile. So this is not mathematically accurate. Just understand that this is for illustrative purposes only, so that you can understand. Now coming to the main point over here, so the highest is 72, right? And this corresponds to 99 percentile. And shift 1, this shift is actually our benchmark. So what we are going to do, we are going to change the scores of the other shifts and we are going to adjust them so that they actually correspond to this. So this 72, what you are seeing over here, just understand that shift 2, this, as you can see, they have a lot higher number of marks, right? So shift 2 was actually an easier shift. They got lot more scores in shift 2. It is easy to see it from this representation over here. And shift 3, it is actually a harder shift because the marks are very lesser in shift number 3. So what we are going to do, the easier shift and the harder shift, we are going to normalize to that moderate or the average type of a shift that we have considered to be the benchmark shift. So what we are going to do, 72 we have over here. So this 93, we are going to convert it to 72. What we are going to do, we are going to just do a minus 21, and then this 93 will become 72. Understand what's going to happen over here. You are doing equal percentiles, right? So every percentile of every shift, they are going to go to these numbers. Understand how this is actually happening. Now coming to 51 over here, for shift number 3, what we can do over here, we can actually add 21 to this. If we add 21, then it becomes 72. So you see what we are trying to do over here. All these scores, we are actually getting it towards the shift 1 scores so that we can compare all of these things in the same way. So we are actually trying to make the comparison very easy by this equi-percentile method. And you have to note another very interesting thing. Not every score is going to be minus 21. Understand this, because this 70 over here, this is going to become what? It is going to become 55. So it is only going to be minus 15 over here. Understand this very important thing.
So this is why in the same shift, we might have somebody who got maybe plus 6 by normalization, but the other person got plus 3 or plus 4. Can you understand why this actually happens? Many people, they say that okay, I was in the same shift as this guy, but this guy actually got plus 7 and I only got plus 2 thanks to normalization, so there has to be some kind of a problem. No, there is no problem. You understand now why this happens, because your percentile was lower and that guy's percentile was higher. So his score, when we are normalizing, it actually corresponds to a slightly higher number of marks added, and yours, you don't have to add those number of marks. So you have to understand these things. Now what happens over here is that this kind of an arrangement sometimes IBPS does not prefer. Why they do not prefer? Because IBPS never wants to decrease your marks. Understand this, because if somebody had actually done 70, say he was expecting 70 marks, and then it became 55, and some girl had actually attempted 93 and she got 72, then there would be a massive chaos, isn't it? People are going to be very angry if that kind of a thing happens. So what IBPS does, they only normalize upwards, not downwards. So in this kind of a situation, shift 1 would not be considered as the benchmark, but you would consider, for example, shift number 2 as your benchmark. So shift number 2, it has the highest scores, right? So shift 1 marks will be normalized to shift 2, and again shift 3 will be normalized to shift 2. So in that kind of a case, what would happen is that this 55, this person who got 55, their marks would actually become 70. So they would get plus 15 to get to 70, and somebody who had scored 40 over here, this person, you would add 30 marks to that person, and then that person's score would also be 70. So you have to understand why this is actually being done. Of course, because we are easily now able to compare these marks, and the difficulty level of the shifts, it does not matter because we have normalized the scores. And understand over here that based on your percentile scores, you are actually going to see a different number that is actually added to your score or subtracted from your score by dint of you having a different percentile. So that is something that you have to understand. Not everybody is going to get the same marks. If everybody got plus 10, for example, arbitrarily in a shift, then it would make no difference, right? You don't account for that difference, for that distance between the marks. So you are accounting for the distance by doing this kind of an arrangement. So here you have to do it like that, and you have to add or you have to subtract as per your requirement, and finally get to your normalized scores. So by checking your percentile, I will know how much marks I have to add and how much your normalized scores are going to be there. And finally, when your normalization is actually done, then you have only one data set. So that one data set that you have, you can easily compare and say your cutoff is say 94 percentile is your cutoff. So if your cutoff is 94 percentile, anybody who has scored lesser percentile like 93 or 92, 91 percentile, those are going to be eliminated, and only people with 94 percentile or above marks, only those people are going to go through. So can you understand, by doing this and bringing everybody's marks into the same percentile bracket, I can easily eliminate people, and that is what IBPS is actually doing. So this is the entire process of normalization. I'm hopeful that you could understand it, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help you understand in the comments. So now coming to why do people complain. Now the reason that people complain is that there is a lot of difference between shifts. Now even in the recent examinations, we have seen that, for example, the shift number 2 of say day number 2, it is actually very difficult, but coming to day number 3, the shift number 2, it's actually very easy. So what happens is that people who are in the harder shift, they actually feel robbed because they had to just face so many difficult questions. So this is the reason that people are complaining, and I do not for any moment question them, because it is their right to complain, because ultimately it is an examination that has to be fair and square, and whenever normalization is involved, it is very evident that not everything is being done fairly. I would even say that the harder examinations, it's actually better, isn't it? So if you have an exam which is actually harder, then this means means that there is a higher chance of your marks increasing if you still have a very higher number of marks in that shift. So it's quite interesting to understand that if the shift is actually harder, then it works out to your benefit. But of course, people don't feel it like that when they are actually giving the examination. And also there are people who complain, who ask like, why is the need there for making unpredictable shifts? Why can't you have the same quality level of the questions across each of the shifts? Now the answer is very clear. It is social media. So today we are all connected, and each and every channel, they will be having this memory based paper. They will have so many analysis that comes out, and that's why the examiners, they have to set different difficulty levels so that they can still surprise the people who are appearing in the later shifts. So otherwise what would happen, it would be very unfair for the people who actually sat for the examination in the first shift. So that is why they do this. And now coming to this, actually I don't like this process at all, and I'm sure that many of you who have been at the receiving end of normalization, you also don't like it. So the controversial opinion that I want to say is that I feel that we are blaming the wrong people. We always go ahead and blame the IBPS examiners, but in my opinion, what is to blame is the IBPS organization. What they could do to actually avoid all these kinds of things, what they could do, it would be very easy. They could just increase their number of centers per day. So if for example IBPS has booked 1000 centers and the examination, it actually takes them 4 days to actually do that, to actually conduct all the examinations, why not go ahead and book 2000 centers? 2000 centers you are booking, and in 2 days you can go ahead and you can just finish off this entire process, and then you don't have to make so many different types of questions. You don't have to make so many different shifts, so many different difficulty levels as well. You could have only a limited number of questions, but they are not doing it. Evidently it is because that if you are going for booking 2000 centers, then it will cost a lot more. But if you tell these 1000 centers, then we are going to actually conduct this examination across multiple days, then it is perhaps much easier to actually negotiate a lesser rate. And this is basic economics and we can't really help it. But I feel that IBPS should actually try and get these examinations over in the least number of shifts. They should try some kind of an arrangement that would help, because otherwise normalization, it really harms the future of so many young banking aspirants. So yeah, finally I do feel that IBPS has the power to actually rectify these things. Whether it will be rectified by them or by CET, only time will tell, but I hope that we can find a solution for this in the future. And finally, why do we need to focus on accuracy now? So many of you will be asking that if it is only the marks, then why we need to focus on being accurate? Now this is because if you are very accurate, then your number of marks are going to increase. Ultimately, these examinations, they are about speed and they are about accuracy. So if you can attempt the same number of questions and you are more accurate, then your chances of getting higher marks, they increase, right? So ultimately, if you just sit down and think about it, being accurate, this actually helps you a lot in your normalization process, because the more accurate you are, the more number of marks you get. And even in the harder shifts, if you are getting more marks, then you score more percentile. And finally, in the EQ percentile method, your normalized scores are going to increase and you are going to go through to the next round. So this is why I want you to be accurate, and I want you to just go ahead and focus on your accuracy. Don't make silly mistakes. Don't do guesswork. You have to just judge the paper based on its own merit, and you have to try your best to be very accurate and to score as much marks as possible, no matter what the difficulty level of the paper actually happens in your current shift. So this is what I wanted to tell you. I hope that you learned something from this video and that it was beneficial to you. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, please click on the subscribe button and do not forget to click the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not miss any future update. I'll see you in the next video.